Okay, everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for coming to our What's New webinar today. We're here to showcase recently released Ironclad features and to share how to incorporate them into your digital contracting processes. I'm Erin Kumar. I'm a digital success manager here at Ironclad. I'll be helping to moderate the webinar today. It's exciting to see so many familiar names and faces here. So I look forward to hearing about how you'll incorporate some of these updates to really help streamline your contracting process with Ironclad. So today we are joined by some of our product managers, Tina, Sophia, and Rashab. I'll let them introduce themselves. Tina, want to kick us off?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Tina, and I'm the product manager for our integrations team. I joined Ironclad in late February, and I'm based out of Denver, Colorado. Any other Denverites in the house? I'm so excited to be here today and tell you all about our amazing Slack integration.
Awesome. Sophia, we'll pass it over to you.
Hi everyone, I'm Sophia, also a product manager here at Ironclad. I work on our workflow designer product. I'm based out of San Francisco and really excited to you about our tables feature today.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hey everyone, I'm Rashab, also a product manager here at Ironclad. I'm responsible for our obligation management and ingest teams. Been at the company for about over a year and a half now, and excited to walk you all through the updates we have around smart import, as well as our enhanced contract orders.
Okay, lots of exciting updates to come. So before getting started, I'm going to review just a little bit of housekeeping. If you have any questions, please drop them into the public chat. We'll have moderators in chat throughout the event, so they'll be answering those questions directly. We are going to be recording this, and we will share it after the session today. It will also be accessible through Ironclad Academy. You're more than welcome to share this content with any of your colleagues who weren't able to attend today. Okay, so what are we talking about today? During this webinar, we're going to spend some time deep diving into 4 features that were released in the last quarter: our Slack integration, tables, smart import updates, and enhanced contract reminders. From there, I'll be providing a quick preview of additional features that are on our upcoming roadmap. And to close us out, if we have time, which I will, the product managers are all going to jump back in and they'll answer any remaining questions live. So I'm going to pass it back over to Tina to talk about the Slack integration.
All right. Well, thank you, Erin, and hello again for a third time now. With the new Ironclad Slack integration, you can now facilitate collaboration on your workflows in the tool many of you use just about all day, every day, if you're anything like me. By centralizing the notifications and collaboration right in Slack, you can decrease the amount of time between steps in the workflow, leading to a faster overall execution. To start, the integration itself is super easy and simple to set up, and once you do, you can customize your notifications to fine-tune the content coming to you so you never miss an update you need while avoiding the constant notifications we might all get. From there, you can review workflow details, see comments you're tagged in, and link directly to the workflow for more information. And the best part is you can even launch a new workflow right in Slack. Now, let's take a look at these features in action. Okay, here we go. So here I am in our company settings of Ironclad on the Integrations tab. You can see the many different integration options we have, with Slack being one. Now, I already have it configured, but it's as easy as just allowing permission sharing. Here I can directly configure my notification preferences, and here's the specific ones related to Slack that you can decide if you want to get or not. I'm going to update the workflow added to workflows I participate in. Now in Slack, you will see an icon pop up for your Ironclad application. I'm going to go ahead and launch a new workflow. And here I'm going to choose my simple agreement. Since you can see I'm using Tino's taco truck, my counterparty is going to be the tortilla factory. And enter some basic information here. And launch that workflow. All right, now that my workflow's been launched, let's take a look at how it looks in Slack. Here you can see I now have 2 notifications in my Ironclad app. The first is that my new contract was launched with me as a participant and a link out to the Ironclad workflow. I can see the current stage, the contract type, and the creator. And because I was also an approver on this workflow, I get the notification that it's ready for me to approve. Now, I might want to tag somebody and ask some questions about this workflow before I want to approve. So that's what I'm going to do now. And now you can see that I left a comment within this workflow with the comment added. So I don't even have to leave Slack to know what's being asked of me. I can launch it from here. Once I've checked, I'm going to approve it. And I'll also learn right in Slack that all approvals are collected. So no need to toggle out of Slack anymore, the tool that you're used to, in order to get updates and notifications on your workflows. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it and you're getting excited about a design.
All right, everyone, I am back. Thank you so much for bearing with us as we learn this new platform. And we're going to jump in and talk about tables. Thank you all for sending in your questions about the Slack integration. Very glad that we were able to answer some of those. So I'd like to welcome Sophia up to the stage now to chat with us about tables.
I guess we will get back to Erin, but I'm Sophia. Nice to see everyone. Thank you for dealing with some of our technical difficulties, but I'm here to and really excited to walk you through our tables functionality. So let's get started with the demo. So here I am in Workflow Designer and I have a order form workflow pulled up. And my goal is to create a products table in order to track some of the products that I want to sell to my party. And so here you can see that I have my document template, which contains a pre-configured table that you will need to get started with Ironclad tables. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to my fields and conditions panel on the left, and here I will be able to now create a new table. And so what I have for you is already create a table. So let's double click and see what we have here. So in this new tables object, we see that we have more columns that correspond to the fields that we want to track in our table. So we have product, price, quantity, discount, and net total. And what you'll notice is that we also have formula columns, which are columns that you're able to now calculate within your tables. And so to walk you through some of these new features, let's start with this. So here with unit price, oftentimes we see that with our products, we already know the price associated with the product or SKU that we're selling. So instead of asking our contract requester for that information, we can actually now automate and pull that information directly. And so here, this formula is doing is saying, depending on what product is being bought in this row, let's pull in the appropriate unit price for that product. And so if we're buying an iPhone 14 Pro Max, let's pull in $199. If we're pulling in the iPhone 14 Pro, let's pull in $999. And if none of these products are being bought, we'll default to $1,000. And so this is a really easy way for you to start beginning to automate some of your contract logic within your tables. Moreover, we can also do cool things like calculate by row the net total. And so here we see that we are multiplying for every row the unit price by the quantity and taking into account any discounts that we have. And so once I've set up my table, I can go ahead and press save. And now we can head back to our contract document. If you were to hover on the left side of any row in your table, you can now tag any tables that you've created. So here I'm going to go ahead and tag that products table that I just created. And now we can head over actually into Workflow Designer Preview to make sure that all the logic we created was set up correctly. And so here, Workflow Designer Preview is a really great way for you to test out your configuration. And so on the left side here is a simulation of what the launch form will look like for your contract requester. And so we see that Ironclad has already pre-populated some values for you. And so our contract requester in this simulation has bought an iPhone 14 Pro. We see that we have correctly pulled in the right unit price of $999 on the back end. We have also correctly calculated the net total for this row. And so let's go ahead and add another product. So our counterparty wants to buy another product from us. So let's say we want to buy the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Let's say we want 1,000 of these and we add a 30% discount. We see that Workflow Designer Preview will automatically update with that new information. And we can again double check to make sure we set up everything correctly. And so now we're confident in our changes. So let's hit preview. And now I wanted to show you all some other neat operations that you can do with our formulas that live outside of the table. And so not only are you able to use formulas within your columns, you can also create values that leverage the values in your table. So say here you want to actually sum up the net total of all the products in our order. So I'm going to now create a field to do that. Let's call it total. What we're going to do is actually create a formula where we will leverage some of the new table formulas that we've introduced in June. So we can actually get the column from our products table, and we want to get that net total column that we just created. And now we want to actually wrap this column in a sum function to actually sum up the values in that column to get the total contract value for this order form. So let's do that here. Let's save. So we got our total value right here. We can go ahead here and actually tag that on in our table. And not only can we tag this on our table, we can begin to now condition off of these values. And so now I can go ahead and actually add a condition and say, I want to check whether or not my total value is actually greater than $1 million. So we can do that here. And what's cool is that now this condition can be used anywhere in your workflow to power your contracting process. And so if we head over to our review tab where we are setting up our approvers, we can say that I want to trigger my financial approval only if the total contract value is greater than or equal to 1 million. So I can go ahead and do that right now. Awesome. So I hope you were following me. And now there are some cool other formulas that I want to quickly show off just so that you guys can get a sneak peek of what you're able to do with our table formulas. So not only are we able to kind of do mathematical computations, you're also able to do things like, let's extract what products are being bought in our table. So to do this, we will get the column of our products in our products table and actually convert that into an English list or a text array that we can use within our document. Or we can do other things like actually count the number of unique products that are being bought in our table by using our new count function, which allows you to sum up the number of rows in a table. And what you can also do is you can even check to see whether or not a certain product was bought by using our in function. So here we are grabbing that product column again from our products table and checking whether or not the iPhone 15 was bought. And you can, again, similar to our total condition here, you can use this contract wherever you want in your workflow. And so here I have that we want sales to approve if we're buying the not yet released iPhone 15. And so to make sure that all of your logic is set up correctly, we can once again head over to Workflow Designer Preview and wanted to flag out our roles and data tab, where you can also make sure that all the conditions you set up in your tables is correct. So we see that because we are not buying an iPhone 15 and because our net total is not greater than 1 million, our are triggered. But let's say we do want to buy an iPhone 15, we see that sales now becomes triggered. And so preview is a great way to make sure that you have everything set up correctly. And that is all for this demo. Really excited to see what you all do with table formulas, and I'll pass it back to you, Erin.
All right, everyone. Next up, we're going to pass it over to Rashab to talk through our new smart import pathways and enhanced contract reminders.
Hey everyone, Rishabh here, excited to talk to all of you about the new pathways that you have to smart import your documents into the Ironclad repository. Making sure everyone can. Sorry, I was just kidding. Too soon. All right. So yeah, excited to talk to all of you about the ability to not only import documents directly from cloud storage, but also the ability to directly email contracts to the repository. And finally, being able to leverage a dedicated Smart Import API to let you upload documents at scale without any limits so that you can programmatically get all of your documents, no matter where they are, into Ironclad's repository. So I will go ahead and switch over to my Ironclad repository. All right, looks like everyone can see my screen. So I'm in my Ironclad repository today, and let's walk through what it would be like for a user who has just received an executed agreement to be able to email that contract directly to the Ironclad repository. So as an Ironclad user and an admin, what you'll be able to see now in your Ironclad company settings and company profile is this email address, which is your repository's dedicated email. You'll be able to share this email with all of your users, and that's all they need in order to be able to upload contracts into the repository, as long as they have the permission to upload contracts. So if a user has the permission to upload contracts, they can go ahead and paste this email into their email provider of choice. Go ahead and attach any agreements that they want to be uploaded directly into the repository. I will select these three that I just received from a counterparty. You can also just forward agreements directly if you would like and hit send. So while this email goes through the system and gets into the Ironclad repository, I'll walk you through what it's like to also upload agreements directly from cloud storage. So as you can see, now when you click Smart Import, you have the option to select files from your local storage, Box, Dropbox, Google Drive, and OneDrive. So for the purposes of this demo, I'll go ahead and use Google Drive. Once you click your provider of choice, you'll be asked to sign in with Google. In order to authenticate, I will allow Google to see my files so that I can actually import them. And as you can see, I have this Smart Import Demo Contracts folder already set up. What's really cool is, as you can see in this folder, I actually have another subfolder for additional contracts. But all I have to do is actually select the highest level folder, and all of the files, including the ones from the sub, are directly brought into my import window. What's also really cool is I can actually, in parallel, also add files from my local storage. Not only am I importing agreements from my cloud storage in one go, I'm also importing agreements from my local storage at the same time. So I'll go ahead and click upload. And as you can see, Smart Import is now at work going through all of these files, detecting all of the different things that are contained in them. And while Smart Import does that, I can actually see that the email that I sent to my Ironclad repository also came through. So these are the four agreements that I sent to the repository. As you can see, Smart Import has recognized a bunch of things about these contracts, including 40 clauses and 16 different types of metadata that were in this contract. And I, as the user, can clearly see that, okay, my Smart Import email to my company was successful, and I can directly go to that import from my email as well. So I'll give that window some seconds to load. If not, I'll go directly to the link. Okay, I might be having some internet issues, but yeah, that's the ability to smart import contracts directly from your email addresses into the Ironclad repository. And now let's talk about enhanced contract reminders and jump back into our slides. Awesome. All right. So now that we've got the ability to directly import contracts into your repository, have them tagged with key metadata using input, let's talk about how you can leverage that data that Smart Import is picking up for you within your contracts to do really incredible things like setting up contract reminders. So with the enhancements to Ironclad's contract reminders, we are now giving users the ability to not only control the cadence of the contract reminders, so being able to set up one time, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annual agreements or annual reminders based on not just exact dates, so being able to set up a weekly reminder that goes out every Tuesday or a monthly reminder that goes out on the second of month every Monday every month. You'll also have the ability to set these reminders to be relative to record property dates. So you'll be able to set up reminders like exactly 90 days before your expiration date, or a monthly reminder that includes all of the agreements that were signed in the past 30 days. Finally, you'll also be able to send reminders to users and emails via contract metadata. So, any custom property that you store with your records, which is of the email or user type, you'll be able to schedule a reminder to that record property. And the reminders will only include the contracts that are relevant to each user within them, rather than all of the contracts in that view. So let's go ahead and dive straight into a demo. All right, so I'm back in my Ironclad repository and I have a test save view over here. This view doesn't have any filters. So starting with the first functionality, as you can see over here, in this company, I don't have any custom properties, but the one role that I have is the workflow owner. And so what's going to happen when I send a reminder to workflow owners is that each workflow owner is only going to receive the contracts that they are workflow owner for in their reminder without you having to set up a filter per user. If I also have the ability to send reminders to admins or everyone, those are the permission groups I have in this company, or to individual users, and they will receive all of the contracts in this email. You can modify the subject of the email. You can also include a custom message to give your users more details about what's included in their contracts. Finally, let's talk about powerful reminder schedule capabilities out there in the CLM industry, which is Ironclad's contract reminders, ability to schedules. So as you can see, when I click the first drop down, I have the ability to schedule this reminder to be one time, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annually. And I can set these reminders to go out on specific time within the month. But what's really cool is that I can also leverage contract metadata to power these reminders. So what I can go ahead and say is send me an email exactly 90 days before the expiration date, such that only my contracts that are exactly 90 days before the expiration are included in each email so that my users can actually act on those reminders. What you can also do is set these reminders to be monthly. So, what this will do is essentially include all the contracts that are expiring in the next 90 days in that monthly reminder email so that you can stay on top of all of your expirations, or in this example, expirations, but for your use case, really any key contractual dates or obligations. You can also make these reminders happen after dates. So you could say monthly 90 days after agreement date so that you get a reminder about all of the contracts that have been agreed to in the last 90 days. In addition, you also have the ability to include up to 5 pieces of metadata along with each contract in your reminder. And you can select one of those properties. So in this case, let's do expiration date as the one to sort these reminders by so that the most important contracts are the ones that are on top in your agreement. So you maybe want to do something like contract value and descending so that the highest value contracts are shown first. let's go ahead and preview this email. So let me hop into my Ironclad email. And this is what the contract reminders will look like in your Ironclad reminder to your users. So as you can see, we have now organized this information a lot better in order for the reminders to be a lot more actionable. They can see exactly what the reminder schedule, they can see what properties are being included. And if the reminder has more than 15 contracts that are actually included in it, then they have the ability to view everything directly in Ironclad, since the email is truncated to show just 15 contracts. Users are also able to go directly into each contract from the reminder by clicking on it, and that'll take them into the Ironclad repository and to that record that was specified in the reminder. What we've also done is introduce new testing frameworks which ensure that independent of whatever email provider you use, these reminders will always look exactly the same. So no matter if you're using Outlook, Gmail, Apple Mail, on mobile or on desktop, these reminders will always stay actionable and present their information in a way that is really usable for all of your users. So that's a little bit about all of our updates, and I'm excited to pass it back to Erin.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for Shab for going through those updates. Um, as a quick recap, everything that our product managers reviewed today is generally available, and some of those features that I had mentioned earlier, a quick moment to refresh on now, are going to be future Ironclad product updates. So let's take a quick look, and I'll refresh you all on a couple of the things that are upcoming. We've got our contract status, auto renewals, entities, the OneTrust integration, and version merge. When we send out the recording and in Ironclad Academy, all of this information will be available as well. And to stay up to date on these releases and future releases, I recommend you all subscribe to our Ironclad release notes in the Help Center. So before we get into the Q&A, I know we've got lots of questions. I want to take a quick moment and just discuss a couple of Ironclad's resources that are on demand and available to you all. First, we have the Ironclad Academy. This is a centralized hub of on-demand and live resources. We have specific learning paths for admins and business users, as well as weekly live trainings on a variety of different topics. We also have our Help Center, which is a robust knowledge base of Help Center articles and step-by-step guides to help you get help configuring, optimizing, and enhancing your Ironclad experience. A lot of those links have been dropped in the chat throughout this conversation, and we will be sharing those out after the event as well. And lastly, our community. I'm sure many of you are members of the community, and we will drop a line in here to register if you're not, but this is the place to connect with folks who are truly paving the way in digital contracting. So by joining the Ironclad community, you'll have access to forums, resources, support, and a variety of virtual and live events. Alrighty, we've got just over 15 minutes. I would love to welcome all of our product managers back up to the stage to answer some of your all questions. Great. Tina, I know you had an opportunity to answer some questions earlier, but there were some remaining questions, so we'll start there. One of the questions was, is it possible to only do the approval comment alerts and not allow workflow launch in Slack?
Yeah, great question. At present, we don't have a way to turn off workflow launch, but rest assured that any users that do launch a workflow would not be able to launch any workflows that they don't have access to in Ironclad. So you do have some security controls there.
Okay, thank you. Another one for you, Tina. A couple of different folks asked if you can turn off the capability of launching workflows in Slack. allow vertical launch. Okay, I think we've covered that one.
Yeah.
Another question just came in about how much is this integration and what does it solve for?
Great question. And this is an exciting one because this is a free integration. This solves for really faster collaboration on your workflows so that you don't have to rely on email if you're not in email as frequently as you used to be, or checking back in Ironclad directly. So this allows you to get notifications and take quicker action right within Slack on your workflows.
Awesome. Another question. Can you explain how you launch a new workflow in Slack?
Yeah, it's if you've sent a GIF before in your Slack, it's a launch command that you do request Ironclad contract, and you can even be able to see all the workflows that you have access to be able to launch. So it's really simple, and it's not in the Ironclad app. It would be part of a channel or a private conversation that you're having.
Okay, fantastic. All right, Tina, I'll give you a little break. You're out of the hot seat. I'm going to turn it over. We've got a couple of questions. Let me just read through a few of these. All righty. Rashab, a couple of questions for you. So there was a question around, is it possible to shield imported agreements from other users? An example of this that was sent in is a contract we want to import for diligence purposes, but perhaps the entire team is not read in on the opportunity.
I think, yeah, there's definitely ways to do that today. I will caveat that with the fact that admins, as of today, can see all of your different types of contracts. But what you can do is create a confidential type of record, which has limited access to specific users and groups. And while importing, set the record type to that contract. So when you import contracts using Ironclad's in product modal, or you import contracts using, yeah, you can specify a record type and make sure that the contract has that record type, and only the people who are supposed or allowed to view that record type can see it.
Awesome. Thank you. And if you all have questions about how to do this, you can always reach out to either your aligned CSM or the digital success team to talk through these kinds of settings more. Another question for you, Rashab. Will there be updates to be able to click on a contract to create a reminder versus always needing to create a view in the repository?
That's definitely something we've heard as feedback through the course of the beta as well as in general. It's something that's on our radar as follow up actions for the enhanced contract reminders functionality. One key thing to mention is that the one email reminder will typically include only one contract per email. So basically, if you're setting up a reminder, even for all of your contracts, and you set up the reminder, let's say one email 90 days before expiration date, it is going to only send the contracts that are exactly 90 days away from that expiration date on that date, rather than all of the contracts in your view. So hopefully that should help with a lot of the use cases that users typically have for per contract reminders.
Awesome. All right, one more for you, Rashab. If we have staff send contracts via email, can we keep them from going to archive until they have been approved?
So I believe the contract email to the repository functionality is actually not import contracts directly into the Ironclad repository, rather than to our workflows where we have the stages like create, review, sign, archive. Once the contract is emailed in, it is directly smart imported into the repository and tagged with key metadata. And we don't actually take it through a workflow such that it would be in the archive.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. All right, Sophia, you're up. A question came in asking, are there plans to be able to include attachments within a document? So people would love to be able to include attachments, including pictures within their documents. Is that something we're thinking about?
That's a great question. I do believe our document team is working on supporting that functionality with supporting images directly in your but can definitely follow up to make sure that that is on our roadmap after this.
Great. Alrighty, let me just take a look to see if there's anything else that's come in. Oh, one question I saw just come into the chat that looks like it's for you as well, Sophia. For dynamic tables, is it possible to auto sort the columns in ascending, descending order? As an example, higher dollar amount at the top.
That's a great request. No, you are not able to sort your columns as of today.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to just take a quick look and see if there are any other questions in the chat that I've missed. I saw another one in the chat that says, is there a way to do it without a separate record type? I want to be able to mark individual contracts as, oh, this is a confidential question.
Definitely not possible today, but our permissions team and admin experience team is definitely on top of trying to unlock these use cases, and I can take this back as feedback to them.
All right. And then one other question that came in for non-admin users, are we able to use metadata to compile the workflow / document name? Let's see if we know who this one is for. Non-admin users. If you want to add any additional questions or context into that question, that would be really helpful, and we'd be happy to answer that. Alrighty, I'm seeing a couple of additional questions coming in. If we weren't able to get a question today, please feel free to follow up and submit a request through our support channel, and our technical support team will be able to answer any of those. Or if you have questions that are specific to product adoption, workflow designer brainstorming, or account strategy, you can always reach out to the customer success team, whether you have an aligned CSM or you're working with the digital customer success team. I think we've got a couple of additional questions in here. We can take these back and follow up with some of these. Let's see. Up front. All right, Rashab, I have another one here for you. Can we get notifications set up on the front end so the internal requester can ask to be notified before the inked contract is expired?
Absolutely. So that's the great thing about enhanced contract reminders is that once you set them up, they're actually applicable to not just your contracts today, but all of your future contracts that end up in the repository. So let's say you set up a reminder which is supposed to be sent to workflow owner or to, let's say, a custom field called internal requester email that you can set up via forms in Workflow Designer. Once that reminder is set up, any new contracts that come in and say to be 90 days before expiration date, once that reminder is set up, you could essentially build that reminder using an additional filter where you have a field called internal requester has requested notification of expiration, which is like a Boolean. You can use that as a filter in your saved view. And once you set up, all of your future contracts that are signed will also be part of that pipeline. And so your requesters will receive the reminders about their upcoming expirations.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And one that snuck away from me earlier, another one for you, Rashab. Are there any plans to integrate with SharePoint?
That's not on our roadmap as of today, but definitely something we can also take back to the team.
Fantastic. Oh, another question just came into the chat. How can you edit existing reminders?
Absolutely. So the great thing about reminders being tied to safe views is that once you create a reminder, when you click into that saved view, you're always able to view the reminder for it. But what we have also done as part of the enhancements to contract reminders, and I can actually share my screen to cover this really quickly, is can I share my screen real quick? Awesome. Thank you. So when you go into company settings and click into notifications, contract reminders, admins will now be able to see all of the reminders that have been scheduled in their organization, such that let's say someone scheduled a reminder and then leaves the company, you can still go ahead and edit and modify or delete those reminders. And all users can stay on top of the reminders they're receiving, like going here and seeing what reminders have been configured for them. So this is the place where all users would go to view what reminders they have, edit them, and manage them.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. I haven't seen any additional questions come in, so I would love to just thank everyone for attending our webinar today. I know we had a few technical difficulties, but we really appreciate you all being here. And thank you so much to our phenomenal presenters as well. We will be sharing this content out after via email and also again on Ironclad Academy. And while I still have everyone here, I just wanted to drop a quick note to keep an eye out for our next big in-person event. It's taking place in Dallas on September 7th. It's going to be our Ironclad Live. We will also have a virtual option for this event the following week. All so much for joining us today. I really do hope you all found this information valuable. We love sharing it with you, and we're excited to continue sharing our quarterly product updates and upcoming feature releases with all of our wonderful Ironclad folks who are joining today. So thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day, everyone. Enjoy your Thursdays.